conniving, manipulative little piece of trash. Hello there, my fandom friends! Today, we are going to be watching episode 2 of Vinland Saga, continuing this new series on my channel, where I am rewatching Vinland Saga after having read the entire manga. Yes, that last chapter came out 6 days ago from today. And no, if you're wondering, I am not okay. And so that's why we are rewatching Vinland Saga, so that I can feel all of the happy thoughts, see all of the amazing foreshadowing, things like that, because I have not seen this in a very long time, and I would love to just gush about it, get all of my thoughts out about it, and just talk to all of you about the amazing story of Vinland Saga. If you want to hear more of the official scoop on more about this series, I encourage you to go back and watch episode 1. But basically, if you have seen Vinland Saga before, join me in rewatching this. If you have not seen Vinland Saga before, I would love to watch it alongside you. And yeah, so let's just get into episode 2 of Vinland Saga, Sword. Okay, look. Do you skip the intro for anime songs, or do you just listen and watch? I am a listen and watch kind of person, especially for Vinland Saga, so even if I speed this up every time, I'm going to watch this. Oh, so good. All right, let me turn this back down. Fishy. I forgot about this part! Oh yeah, this part was brutal. Oh, this is terrifying. That's so terrible, just imagine that happening as you're just trying to bathe. I love the attention to wildlife in this story as well. This reminds me of Sokka from Avatar: Last Airbender trying to teach all the kids to fight. The kid holding the sword at his waist.
天国にあるバルハラでは毎日お肉が食べられるからね。強い先発いいな、いいな。今度どこ行くの？ノルウェーさ、遊びじゃないぞ。
He's so cute.
商売に行くんだ。毛織物や毛皮を持ってってワインなんかと交換するんだ。じゃあ僕も行く。軍船が来た。よっ。
Oh my gosh, I love this. Oh, that's so good. After being a warrior all his life, he needs to learn how to just do, you know, simple tasks that like everyone else can. Which is reality, that makes sense. Thorfinn is literally so cute, I can't. I didn't even recognize him with that helmet on. I remember the first time I watched this, I was so lost over all the history stuff. And they really break it down in a great way. I'm just not a history person at all, so I remember being so confused. So I'm excited to like actually understand more of this time around. I'm sorry, but like, why does he look like that? He looks like a rectangle head. Like, why is his beard and his hair like that? But I don't wanna. If it were really that easy.
トールズ殿、この度のことはおいうことにしてくださるというのです。我が狩猟はそれほどにあなたの腕を惜しまれている。
Oh yes, let's slam the door.
良い村だ。子供の様子でわかる。繊細とは今日まで無縁だったのでしょうな。
Ew! Not a fan of him. Mm-mm.
私もね、子供の使いじゃないんですよ。あなたがこたびの戦に加わらぬとお分かりでしょう。
It's so unfair. Poor Leaf, he was like, I just wanted to go trading. Yeah, I guess I forgot Leaf didn't know more about Thors. I guess it's just because Leaf is so wise, like I imagined they spoke more, but I guess Thors wouldn't have a need to bring that up. So not only is he taking Thors, he's taking like just anyone from the village. I'm not a fan of him. That's really sad.
断れなかったのかね、トールズ。自分のしてきたことにけじめをつける時が来たんだ。
It's so sad seeing like all the younger generations too, like want to fight. And then like the older generations, like that man was like, gosh, how long has it been? Because I mean, it seems like they've been living in peace for so long. I love Leaf, oh my gosh, I miss him being this young. Oh, I love him. Jeez, Thorfinn. Did he really just smack him a second time? Oh my gosh, I don't remember that. I remember him being a little brat, but... Oh my gosh, Thorfinn. Oh my gosh. Oh. He's like, dang, look what my son did. That looks heavy. Oh gosh. Oh, gosh.
綺麗。敵。
お前の敵は誰なんだ。
ハーフ団とか。
よく聞け、トルフィン。お前に敵などいない。誰にも敵などいないんだ。傷つけて良いものなどどこにもいない。
おかしいよそんなの。だって父上は明日戦に行くんでしょ。敵を殺しに行くんでしょ。子供じゃない。父上は嘘を言ってる。僕にだってわかる。
トルフィン。
お、トルフィン、スキャリー、危ねえって。
ヘルガ。
はい。
あの子を頼む。
It's so sad because, like, Thorfinn's right and he's just a kid. He can't understand the bigger picture of it. He seems like one of the youngest kids there in the village. I'm feeling a lot of emotion.
波穏やか。
避けたら殺すぞ。
Gosh. I knew that didn't hit him, but like, I still jumped. Oh my gosh, they're all so young. Oh my gosh.
おい、ヨウムの兄さん方。
キリスト教が好かねえだけですよ、フローキーの旦那。それよりさっさと仕事の話をしましょうよ。手下どもも俺もこんな僻地で待たされて退屈してたんです。
大きな変更はない。報酬は金5ポンド。奴の死体と引き換えでなければ払わ
I remember this part being funny.
奴の船と積み荷はお前たちの好きにしていい。トールズを殺せ。
Well, not that part. Oh, I guess it's in the next episode. I remember what happens between them. I didn't realize the episode ended there though. So what a great way for that episode to end though. What a cliffhanger. Also, again, just Torches is such an amazing song. Alright, so starting off with some of my initial thoughts of episode 2, again, just amazing episode and introduction to all of these characters, especially by adding in now Floki as well as Askeladd and kind of what seems like his band of Vikings at the end of the episode, which is going to be very important. I like how by the second episode, we kind of understand more about Thors and the mysteries that were surrounding him in the last episode. So we know kind of why he faked dying, because he didn't want to be a part of the war anymore. He didn't want to end people's lives. It just seemed like he wanted to have a family. Of course, he has his wife and he has Thorfinn and Yelva, and that's all he really seemed to have wanted for the past 15 years. It seems like he's created this really peaceful village. And even the reactions of the villagers over the Jomsvikings being there, they were like, oh my gosh, like we're going to war. While most of them were really excited about that, the elder folk were portrayed as being like, oh my gosh, like war, like what's that? We haven't had that in so long. And I think it's interesting that all of the kids and even like the teenagers, the young adults are well aware of this concept of war, even though the past 15 years they haven't really been a part of it, but it's probably circulated in stories and everything, and the weapons that of course those older folk on the island have. Obviously, right down to episode 2, we know that Floki Loki is a conniving, manipulative little piece of trash. I am very glad I don't have to hide my disdain for him, because if you know me, you know I hate Floki. No, he's not for me. I really liked seeing the unbalance between Thors and Thorfinn, and I think they're both coming from a real point of view that makes sense to them, but Thors isn't really articulating it the best to Thorfinn why he has no enemies and that there shouldn't be war and, like, you know, violence. But Thorfinn is looking at him and he's like, well, tomorrow you're gonna go wage war and you're gonna end people's lives. So, like, how does that make sense? Like, why are you telling me this? Your actions are going against that. And so obviously Thorfinn sees that in such a completely different light, and Thors doesn't know how to articulate that in a way that's going to make sense to Thorfinn. And of course, Thorfinn, growing up with all of these stories about war and everything, what they play as kids with swords and like little wooden weapons and things, he's not gonna understand. But yeah, definitely a really emotional episode, knowing what I do know from the rest of the series.
よく聞け、トルフィン。お前に敵などいない。誰にも敵などいないんだ。傷つけて良いものなどどこにもいない。
We're going to jump into our spoiler segment. This can be from the manga or just the story ahead. So, forewarned, spoilers ahead in 3, 2, 1. All right, so firstly, I wanted to go back to the section of this episode where Thors was trying to fix the leak that was in that bowl, and we saw that he was unable to, and kind of what I talked about while watching the episode, but I didn't give much away, is I feel like that is such foreshadowing to how Thorfinn feels in season 1, when he is trying to work with Einar, and I think it's a scene when he's trying to build a roof, and he doesn't necessarily understand how. I know he didn't understand how to fish. There were a lot of things in season 2 that Thorfinn, being a young adult by that age, should have, you know, known how to do by that point in his life, but he didn't know how because he's been fighting all of his life. Thors in this scene in episode 2 is literally the same exact thing happening. So really loved the foreshadowing there. That's definitely not something I picked up on the first time I watched. Another little tidbit I picked up on was when the island villagers were just walking and one of them accidentally ran into one of the Jomsviking soldiers, and he gives them a really dirty look. Not only is the look dirty, but I feel like the symbolism of zooming in on that eye compared to obviously all of the kids and young adults present from the village in that moment is also really telling. You can see just how like big and bright the village kids' eyes are in comparison to this soldier who's obviously done some really bad things in life that's hardened them to become the way they are. And so I feel like that just literal 3 seconds of showing an eye was also very impactful. The scene of Thorfinn getting really excited for the prospect of war was like heartbreaking. You can just see he's like so confused. He's one of the youngest ones again in this village, viewing all of these people who want to fight and want to go to war. Besides like Leif, I feel like Leif, obviously Thors, Helga, Yelva, like all of them are kind of out of the picture, but I think more than anything Thorfinn is just so confused. And so seeing that confusion turn more into happiness over wanting to fight was like really sad, especially knowing what's to come and the kind of person that he becomes, at least in season 1 before he kind of gets more development. It's the same thing when he pulls out Thor's dagger and he's like looking at it and it's like shining in his eyes and he calls it beautiful. I'm like, oh my gosh, the things that that dagger has done, the trauma that that dagger has caused you. I'm just like, oh my gosh, another just great little foreshadowing moment. Even the music in the background to me sounded very like sad and ambient and really just set the mood. And then lastly, the scene right after Floki leaves, and again everyone is super excited about wanting to go to war, and Thorfinn, you can see he's very confused, and then Thors is just kind of looking down. His face is just blacked out and you can just see how conflicted he is because he's been tasked with making this decision of do do I fight or do I protect everybody? And obviously he does not want to fight, but he has to protect people, and he's kind of stuck in between that. This is such a call to Thorfinn, I feel like, in seasons 3 and 4, what that'll be like once it is animated, when Thorfinn is one of the sole people that is just trying to move on through peace and not war, when everyone around him is all for war. And I think that by Thors articulating what he wanted to Thorfinn is also so much like Thorfinn in the future, because as I talked about earlier, Thors is describing to Thorfinn that he has no enemies, that he shouldn't be wanting to end anyone's life, all this stuff, but Thorfinn is like, well, what do you mean? You're lying to me because you're doing that exact same thing tomorrow when you go off to war. And Thors is like, oh gosh, like he's not wrong, but like he can't articulate that correctly. And that's exactly what happens to Thorfinn in season 4 when he's trying to articulate his kind of peaceful thoughts to everyone else that is making their trip to Vinland to create a peaceful world. And so I found that so fascinating, and obviously that's not something I picked up on the first time I watched it, because I wouldn't have. That wouldn't have been really in my head until seeing the final season of Vinland Saga, which is literally just a father to son type moment, which I also thought was really, really beautiful. But yeah, that is going to wrap up my thoughts as far as episode 2, Sword of Vinland Saga. I am getting very pumped over how much foreshadowing and just everything that's in these episodes. I think the father to son foreshadowing is some of my favorite, and I'm just excited to see that over the next couple-ish episodes before, of course, we lose Thors. I'm enjoying this so much, and I hope you are too. So in the comments, I would love to hear from you about this kind of theme of father and son. What kinds of things do you see in Thorfinn that is just 100% Thors? Kind of like the things that I was talking about from these first couple of episodes, relating that back to, of course, what we will see eventually of Thorfinn in season 3 and 4. I will see you next time for episode 3, as well as more fandom fun content in the future. Bye!